In 2026, if you know how to edit viral reels, you are basically printing money. Because right now, attention is the most valuable currency online. Businesses are fighting for good viral reels editors, because in reality there are only 1% of such professionals. And if you want to become one of them, today is the day, because in this video I'll break down exactly how to create high-performing viral reels in After Effects, so you can get noticed and never worry about finding clients again. Let's see what we're going to create today. If the only thing you dream about in this life is how to get rich, I have a really bad news for you, my friend. Because instead of thinking about money, it's much more useful to think about how to be unique and stand out from the crowd, how to be the best at what you do and become one of the top 1% of people. And believe me, in that case, the money will find you and you will finally achieve your dream. And the first thing you need to do is go to the Google Drive link in the description of this video and download all the assets for this tutorial from there. So now we're ready to create captions for our viral reel, and only after that we'll move to animations and 3D scenes. But there is one important thing. If you create captions manually, the process can take a long time. It's much better to spend that time on animations. That's why we'll create captions automatically in literally a minute using the Submagic service. Just follow the link in the description of this video and you will be taken to the main page. Click here on Try for free and let the real editing magic begin. We're definitely interested in captions generator. Here we need to drop the video of me talking that you can find in the assets folder. Speech language English, and click on Generate Captions. Now give Submagic a little time to analyze the video and create captions. Here we have tons of different cool presets, and you can choose any of them. My favorite is Jack. If the only thing you dream about in this life is... We can change captions position and font using these sliders, so let's adjust it a little bit. And of course, it's super easy to customize this preset by clicking on this icon. Let's change shadow to none and display word to one word. I also want to change all the colors of all the keywords to only orange. And of course, you can always edit captions if you don't like the timing of some words. Here at B-roll section, we can add some transitions with sound effects. Let's click here on Edit Transition on this first frame and select Fire Vibe. If the only thing you dream about... It looks super cool, especially with this sound effect. So now we're ready to export our video and save it on the device. As you may have noticed, Submagic is not only about captions and transitions. There are tons of different features which will help you to edit reels much more efficiently and not waste time on routine tasks that AI can handle in seconds. I highly recommend you to check this service by the link in the description of this video, because its features really makes your editing not harder, but smarter. And as an alternative, now I'll show you how to create captions manually. So create a new comp, name it main, 1080 by 1920, 30 frames per second, around 31 seconds long. Drag me talking video to our comp, and now I'll show you how to create viral captions manually. Let's type "if the only thing" and position it somewhere here at the center. To create a smooth word-by-word animation, open the text layer, click on the Animate button and select Position. Now near Animator 1, click on Add, Property, Opacity. And here let's change the text position down a little bit to around 70 points. Also decrease the opacity to 0%. Open Range Selector 1 and create an offset keyframe. Change its value to -100%. Go to 1 second, 16 frames and increase its value to +100%. Open Advanced Settings and change Based On to Words. After that, change Shape to Ramp Up. To make our animation more smooth, let's increase is high here to 30% and is low to 100%. I think we can click on Add near Animator 1 and add Blur property. Increase it to 15, so now our text has a blur animation at the beginning. Add deep glow and drop shadow with 100 opacity, 7 distance and 8 softness. Our text animation is ready. Now just duplicate it and change to "You dream about." Double-click on this text and select the dream word. Change its color to orange. You can also increase the size of this one word by changing these values here near the T icon. It will help us to highlight the keywords. This "You dream about" layer should start at 1 second, 1 frame. You can always press U and move the keyframes if you need to speed up or slow down the animation. Select these two layers and go to 2 seconds, 3 frames on timeline. Create an opacity keyframe on these two layers. At 2 seconds, 8 frames, decrease opacity to 0. Also cut these layers by pressing Alt plus right bracket on your keyboard. I think you understand the principle. So you need to repeat this process by copying these layers and changing its text plus animation speed in accordance with my voice. As I mentioned earlier, this is quite a long process, so I will use my footage with automatic captions, but you can do everything manually and then simply pre-comp all the captions. Now we can finally move to our animations. I recommend you to organize all our assets into folders, as I did, to make work more convenient. First thing we need to do is to create this zoom out camera animation. So make me talking layer 3D and create a new 28mm one node camera. Also add a new null object, make it 3D parent camera to it and name it cam control. This null will help us to make our camera control more stable and easy. Go to 2 seconds, 27 frames on timeline and create a position plus Z rotation keys on cam control null layer. At 0 frames, move position closer to my face to around 400. Z rotation should be 15. Select keys, press F9, make sure you have speed graph here. And move this yellow slider so we have peak on the left and then the speed slows down. Next, we need to create a transition to our animation money scene. To do this, we need to separate the character from the background. This is very easy to do in After Effects using a rotobrush tool. So move the timeline to 3 seconds and duplicate me talking layer by pressing Ctrl D. Click Alt plus left brackets on your keyboard to cut the beginning of this layer. At 5 seconds, press Alt plus right brackets, so it will be the end of our layer. Turn off the sound on duplicated layer. Now click on this icon here and double click on this duplicated me talking layer. A new window will open, in which we'll separate the character from the background. It's very important to move the timeline back to 3rd second, so make sure you're here at the beginning of this layer. All we need to do is hold down the left mouse button and trace around the character and chair. It's almost ideal, but we need to make some adjustments. First of all, let's remove this part from my t-shirt simply by holding down the left mouse button and sketching this area. And also sketch this area near hand and near cap a little bit. If you want to correct your sketch, simply press Ctrl Z on keyboard or start holding Alt on your keyboard and this red icon will appear. Now we can remove the unnecessary areas highlighted below the character. After you finish sketching here at this window, we can move on timeline and see how it selects our character on different parts of the layer. I think everything is fine, so go back to 3 seconds and press freeze here. Close this rotobrush window. And now if we isolate our character by clicking on this icon, we'll see that he was separated from the background. As you see, we also have some rotobrush settings. I recommend to increase feather to around 10 to make all the edges more smooth. And also let's decrease the shift edge a little bit to cut the unnecessary white parts. Awesome! Click on this icon again to turn off the layer isolation and also turn off sound on duplicated layer. Now let's create this nice seamless ink transition. Create a new black solid and name it Gray BG. Apply gradient ramp effect on it. Start color should be white, end color black. Change radial shape to radial ramp. Move this red dot to the center. Now move this bottom dot a little bit down. Increase blend with original if you want to make the center darker. Now place this layer between our two videos, and it should start at 3 seconds 12 frames. Drag ink asset to our comp and it should also start at 312. Place it above Gray BG, then click on Toggle Switch Smooths, and here at the Track Matte Gray BG section, select our ink asset. After that, click on these two icons, so you need to have an icon of the sun and this black and white square with a circle. As you see, now we have this nice ink transition. We can increase the scale of ink layer to around 110 and move it slightly to the left so that it reveals our gray gradient more quickly. Let's create a new camera movement. The new camera movement should start approximately here, so we can't use the current cam control null. Go to the last keyframes and duplicate this cam control. Delete its keys and parent cam control 1 to cam control 2. Go to 2 seconds 10 frames and create a position keyframe on cam control 2. At 4 seconds 22 frames, move on Z position to around 834. And make sure that the camera passes over the cap, not through the character's face. Select keys and create this speed graph with a peak in the center. Here I see some parts of the room and we don't want them. So create an opacity keyframe on the first mid-token layer at 3 seconds 22 frames. At 4 seconds decrease it to 0. And do the same with ink overlay, but at 4 seconds and 4 seconds 16 frames. Now we need to create these gray lines that imitate the floor and wall. So select the rectangle tool, change fill color to dark gray and set stroke to 0. After that, draw this long rectangle shape and name it wall. Make it 3D, and now we need to position it correctly in our 3D space. Click here on two views and make sure second view is set to top. And simply move our wall on Z position closer to our cam control to null. Make sure this wall is in the center of the composition. Also, you can make it thinner if you want, by changing its scale. Click on the anchor point icon here and move the anchor point of this wall layer to the very bottom of the rectangle. Duplicate this layer and name it floor. Press R on your keyboard and change X rotation value so it looks like a floor now. After that, change the Y position of this layer so that they appear as a single unit and there are no gaps between them. You can do it simply by pressing up and down keys on your keyboard with one of the layers selected. Now go to 4 seconds 9 frames and create a position keyframes on floor and wall layers. At 3 seconds 19 frames, move the wall to the top at Y position and floor also on Y position here at top view. Select keys, press F9 and create this speed graph with a slight peak on the left. Cut these layers at their first keyframes. Awesome! Select Type Tool and type Rich. I recommend using a long font. In my case, it's Montage font. Make this layer 3D and move it closer to the end of rectangle on Z position. Now press P on your keyboard and move it to the top on Y position until it becomes visible. Move its anchor point to the bottom of the text, press R and change its X rotation. After that, here at the top view, move it closer to us. And finally parent it to the floor. Don't forget to cut this text layer. After that, type how to get, make this layer 3D, move on Z position to the end of rectangle and change its Y position until it becomes visible. Place it here and parent to wall layer. We also need to create a shake effect at the moment when the floor touches the wall. Create a new adjustment layer and name it shake. Place it at the top of all layers, but under the camera and cam control nulls. Apply standard wiggle plus position preset on it. Change wiggle speed to 6 and wiggle amount to 110. Create wiggle amount keyframe at 4 seconds 10 frames. Go to 4 seconds 6 frames and change wiggle amount to 0. Copy this key and paste it at 4 seconds 29 frames. Uncheck Use Composition Shutter Angle here and increase the shutter angle to 200. Change sampling to bicubic. And also cut this adjustment layer at the moment of shake. To remove this black edge, simply apply motion tile effect on gray BG layer. Enable mirror edges and increase output width and output high. Now drag smoke impact asset to our comp, keylight it and make 3D. Position it here a little further than the rectangle layer. Adjust its scale and position in the center. This smoke impact layer should start at 4 seconds 5 frames. Also, let's increase the speed of this layer by right-clicking on it, time times stretch. Change it to 50. Now drag sparks layer, make it 3D, copy position from smoke layer by pressing Ctrl+C on keyboard and paste it to sparks by pressing Ctrl+V. Change its Z rotation to around 16 and position it at the center. Also decrease its scale a little bit. Sparks layer should start at 4 seconds 3 frames. It's time for money animation. Drag $100 bill to our comp, isolate this layer by clicking on this icon, create a rotation keyframe and move this key to 4 seconds, and at the beginning rotate it. Select keys, press F9, create a speed graph with a peak on the left. Precomp this layer and name it $100. Apply CC cylinder effect on it. Now our $100 looks cringe, but don't worry, that's because of cylinder effect. It automatically makes this precomp 3D. So what I recommend to do is precomp one more time and name $100 too. Turn off isolation. Go inside this comp and that's what we have for now. Now open the rotation tab at CC cylinder effect and create all rotation keyframes at 0 frames and change them as you want. Go to 4 seconds and change rotation values again, so you can play with it and find the best animation. Select keys, press F9 and create the same speed graph with a peak on the left. Go to main comp and make this layer 3D. Position it closer to the camera, somewhere at the bottom right corner. This precomp should start at 3 seconds 17 frames. Go to 4 seconds 8 frames and create a position keyframe. At 3:17, move it out of screen to the right. Select keys F9 and create this speed graph. Duplicate this $100 precomp, delete position keys. Move it a little bit closer to our rectangle on that position, and it should be here at the top left corner. It has the same animation as our first $100 bill, and it looks boring. So right-click on it, transform, flip horizontal. Right-click one more time, transform, flip vertical. Create position keyframe at 4 seconds 8 frames. At 3 seconds 17 frames, move $100 out of screen. Select keys, press F9, create this speed graph. Let's make our bills more green. Apply tint effect on one of pre-comps. Change map white to green, amount to tint 25%. Copy this effect and paste it to another pre-comp. Also duplicate how to get, change it to $sign, change font to more bold, color to green. Apply deep glow with 500 radius and 0.05 exposure. And add drop shadow with 100 opacity, distance set to 4 and softness to 31. And I will disable deep glow for now because it loads PC heavily. Let's create the next camera movement. Press U on Cam Control 1, create position keyframe at 4 seconds 11 frames, go to 6 seconds 4 frames and move closer to our text. Select keys F9, create this speed graph. Then go to the last keyframe of Cam Control 2 and duplicate it. Delete keys at duplicated layer and pan Cam Control 2 to Cam 3. Go to 4 seconds 14 frames and create position plus Z rotation keyframes on Cam Control 3. At 6 seconds 18 frames, change rotation to -90 and position our camera in such a way so the white and black edges are in the center of the screen. Select keys F9 and create this speed graph. Now create a new text layer and type really. I recommend choosing a long font. Select dark red color. Make it 3D and position it on Z value here closer to our rectangle. Also change its rotation to -90. Create a full black rectangle, make it 3D, copy position plus rotation from really and paste it to this rectangle so at the end it should be above really text. Now create a new text layer and type I have a. Change font. Position it above the black rectangle. Let's work with our bad news for you part. Create a new comp, name it bad news, increase its width to 90/20. Create a new black solid and name it BG. Apply gradient ramp on it. Start color red and color black. Ramp shape radial. Move this red dot to the center and this second red dot slightly to the bottom. And increase blend with original to around 50%. Select some grungy font and type bad news for you. Place this text somewhere closer to the right bottom corner. Drag to the comp skull head and position it near the text. You can rotate it so it's placed perfectly. Go to main comp, drag bad news comp here, make it 3D, position it here exactly at the same place as our rectangle. Change its Z rotation to -90. Scale it to around 30%, I think, and change its X plus Y position so bad news for you text is placed here near the edge. You can always go inside this comp and change scale or position of our text or skull if you need. This layer should start at 6 seconds, 3 frames. When everything is perfectly positioned, drag our ink to overlay to this comp, make it 3D and place this layer above bad news text. Copy bad news position and paste it to this ink. Now go to track matte bad news and select ink to here. Don't forget about these two icons here. Yours should be the same as mine. And now what you need to do is scale, position and rotate this ink so the transition goes from the bottom to the top. So that rotation of this layer should be minus 180. Scale around 35%. And after that, just find the sweet spot for its position. Now go back to Bad News Comp and let's continue our work. First of all, let's create a liquid slime animation for bad news words. Apply CC smear effect. Put from dot somewhere here and to dot here. And now simply animate reach. At 0 frame, change it to 0 and create keyframe. At 219, increase it to 100. Select keys, press F9 and move this layer slightly to the left so our animation will start immediately after the ink reveal. After that, drag fire asset, highlight it, change its Z rotation to minus 90 and place it here at the right side above the text. Also create new black rectangle shape layer here on skull eyes. Apply roughen edge effect on it and play with its border at sharpness, scale and complexity until you create something like I did. Or you can just copy my values. Select another font and type my friend here above this rectangle. Let's animate this text. Open layer, click on animate position. Change its position so the text is under the rectangle. Go to advanced. Shape ramp up, is height 30%, is low 100% based on words. At 1 second create offset keyframe and change it to minus 100%. At 2 seconds 3 frames increase it to 100%. Now duplicate our roughen edge shape layer, place it above my friend text layer, and drag map my friend layer to this new duplicated shape. Go back to main comp and create a position keyframe on cam control at 6 seconds 28 frames. At 8 seconds 8 frames move closer to the skull. Select keys, press F9, create this speed graph. Also, let's create a constant slide camera shake effect. Just alt-click on cam control null position and type wiggle brackets 1,10. And all that's left is to create a cinematic shadow overlay that covers all the screen. Create a new black solid and name it shadow. Place it above all the layers. Make it 3D and move on that position closer to our rectangle layer. Change its Z rotation to minus 90 and make it big by stretching its scale to different sides. Decrease its opacity to 38%. Change the blending mode of this solid to multiply. Now select the pen tool and create mask similar to mine. Press M and invert it. Now create a new mask right there near the skull. Change it to subtract. Apply Gaussian blur and increase its blurriness to 33. Go to 5 seconds 22 frames and decrease opacity to 0. Create a keyframe. Move 3 frames forward and increase it to 38. 3 frames forward, again 0. 3 frames forward, 38. 3 frames forward, 0. 3 frames, 38. And also at the moment of camera transition, I want to add some drop shadow, so this edge between red and gray is looking much more cinematic. So apply drop shadow. Increase its opacity to 100%. Increase its distance and softness. If you don't see a shadow, change its direction or move Bad News Comp on that position a little bit. and simply animate a drop shadow opacity from 0 to 100% at the camera movement moment. We're done with this scene, so we can duplicate me talking video layer and precomb all the layers except this one at the bottom. Name this precomb scene 1. Go to 8 seconds 10 frames and cut this scene 1 precomb. Delete opacity keys on me talking layer and increase opacity back to 100%. And cut this layer here at 8 seconds 11 frames by pressing Alt plus left brackets. At this part, our task is to create a camera face tracking effect. First of all, go to 13 seconds 20 frames and press Ctrl-Shift-D on your keyboard to cut this layer into 2 parts. Now go back to 8:11 and make sure the quality is set to full. Click on Windows here and then click on Tracker. So this menu will appear. Again, make sure you are at the very first frame of this me talking layer. Click on Stabilize Motion. We need to place this track point at the nose, and after that just click on this play button. Apply. To fix this black edge, simply increase the scale of our layer to 108%. Create keyframe on scale, go to 13 seconds 19 frames and increase scale to 130%. Now create a new comp, 1080 by 9020, 9 seconds 20 frames long. Name it B-rolls. Drag our B-roll audio here, and now I'll tell you where I find these viral B-rolls and how I create these cinematic captions. I recommend searching for these videos on the Pinterest website. For our reel, we need a character who stands out from the crowd. So search for Alone in the Crowd, filter videos. Now we have tons of videos to choose from. Let's click on this one. As you see, a lot of similar videos are in our recommendations right now. I will use these 3 videos that I found by searching Alone in the Crowd and Stand Out from the Crowd. And what about downloading these Pinterest B-rolls? You can search in Google how to do it. Unfortunately, I can't add these videos to the assets as they are not mine. So I have already prepared my 3 B-rolls. As you see, the first one starts at 0 frame, the second one at 3 seconds 20 frames, the third one at 6 seconds 5 frames. It's time for cinematic captions. Type how to be, press enter, and from the new line type unique. Click here and make sure red line is standing before unique. Press space couple of times to move this word to the right. Now select how to be and decrease font size by changing this value here. Select unique and make it bold. Change its color to orange. And now we'll create the same text animation as I showed in the beginning of this tutorial. So open this text layer and click on Animate Position. Add Property Opacity. Add Property Blur. Move our text down by position to around 70. Blur 15, opacity 0. Open Range Selector, go to 3 frames on timeline and create Offset Keyframe. Decrease it to -100%. At 1 second 16 frames, make it 100%. Go to Advanced based on words. Shape ramp up. Is high 30. Is low 100. Apply Deep Glow plus Drop Shadow on this layer and copy my values. And now we'll be duplicating this layer and simply changing text and animation speed. Duplicate how to be unique text layer and type and stand out from the crowd. Play with this new words position, scale to make them look cinematic. On this new layer, the first keyframe should start at 1 second, 8 frames, second, 3 seconds, 24 frames. Cut these two text layers here at the end of our first B-roll. Now again, duplicate how to be unique layer and type how to be the best. First keyframe 320, second 5 seconds, 9 frames. Duplicate one of the text layers and type at what you do. First key 422, second 6 seconds, 4 frames. Duplicate text layer again and type become one of them. First key 605, second 717. And the last top 1% of people's first key should start at 6 seconds, 29 frames. Second key 9 seconds, 19 frames. All that's left is to create flash transition between these B-rolls. Create a new adjustment layer, place it above all the layers and apply exposure on it. Create exposure keyframe at 3 seconds 17 frames. At 320 increase it to 3.74. At 324 decrease it back to 0. Cut this adjustment layer at the moment of transition. Duplicate it and place duplicated layer between the second and third B-roll. Go to main comp and drag our B-roll pre-comp here. It should begin at 13 seconds 20 frames and end at 23 seconds 9 frames. So at 23:10 our new video starts. Pre-comp, B-rolls comp and me talking. Cut it. All that's left is to deal with our last scene. Let's start from zoom out animation. Create a new null object and name it movement. Parent talking layer to this movement. Create a movement scale keyframe at 26 seconds, 6 frames. At 23:10, move closer to my face. Select keys, press F9 and create a speed graph with a peak on the left. Now we need to create this nice glass rectangle. So create a new rounded rectangle and you can make its corner more rounded simply by rotating your mouse wheel. Name it frame. Duplicate this layer, name it glow and change fill to black. Right click on it, layer styles, inner glow. Go inside inner glow and change color to white and increase its size a little bit. Turn off the visibility on the glow layer. And on frame layer click on this icon to make it adjustment layer. Apply Gaussian blur effect on our frame. Increase it to 30. Apply exposure and increase it to 1. Apply noise and set it to 3. And finally apply a displacement map. Here at displacement map layer select our glow. Change max horizontal and max vertical displacement to 20 and now we have this glass effect. Parent glow layer to frame and frame layer to movement. It's time for a bounce animation. Create a rectangle scale keyframe at 26 seconds 5 frames. At 25:28 decrease it to 0. Alt-click on scale and paste the expression from Google Documents in the Assets folder. Awesome! Now drag money icon, scale it down and position on the frame. Parent it to frame. Go to 26 seconds 8 frames and create a scale plus rotation keys. At 26:01 change rotation and decrease scale to 0. Alt-click on scale and paste bounce expression. Alt-click on rotation and also paste this expression. Cut all these layers as I did. Select glow plus frame layers and duplicate them. Place these layers above the others. And at frame to displacement map, select glow 2. Move frame 2 to the right side of screen. And frame 2 plus glow 2 should start at 26 seconds 25 frames. Drag user 3D icon here, scale it down, position on frame 2 and parent it to frame 2. Create scale plus rotation keys at 27 seconds 7 frames. Go to 26 seconds 27 frames and change rotation plus decrease scale to 0. Alt-click and paste bounce expression to scale and rotation. All that's left is to create a line from money to icon. Create a new comp and name it arrow line. Width 2000, height 300. Drag this arrow image to this comp, scale it down and place here at the left. Now select pen tool and make sure the image is not selected and just outline this arrow. Change color of shape to blue. After that, delete image. Now duplicate this shape and place it here. After that, select these two shapes, duplicate them and place them here. And do this until the end of comp. Create null and parent all layers to it. At 0 frames, create null position keyframe and move arrows to the left of screen. Go to 2 seconds, 13 frames and move them here. Select keys F9 and create this speed graph. Create new null and parent current null to new one. At 0 frames, create position keyframe. At 7:17, slightly move them to right. So our constant movement is ready. Go to main comp and position frame plus frame 2 here above my head so we can see everything. Drag arrow line comp here. It should start at 25 seconds 24 frames. Parent it to movement null. Scale it down and mask here at the edges of glass frames. Feather the mask. If you need, you can always change horizontal and vertical displacement of Gaussian effect on glass icons so our arrow lines looks better. Apply deep glow plus drop shadow on arrow lines comp and copy my values. We need to position glass frames and arrow lines between my head and background, so let's do some rotobrush. Go to 26 seconds 10 frames on timeline and duplicate me talking layer. Turn off sound on duplicated and cut it by pressing Alt plus left brackets. Click on rotobrush and double click on duplicated layer. Select me, correct everything, especially here near the head. At the bottom we don't care what's going on, we're interested only in the head area. When you are ready, click freeze. Select all the layers except movement and place them between rotor layer and original layer. Select frame, frame 2 and arrow line, position them between my head and background. Increase feather and shift edge on rotor layer. It's time for the final camera animation. Duplicate movement null and delete all keys on duplicated movement. Parent movement 1 to movement 2. Create position plus scale keyframe at 25:15. At 26:28, go closer to the money icon. Select keys F9 and create this speed graph. At 26:06, create position keyframe on first movement. At 27:14, go closer to user icon. Create the same speed graph. At 27:04, create a new scale plus position keys on movement 2. Go to 29 seconds and return to our original position. Create the same speed graph as before. Alt-click on null 1 position and type wiggle brackets 1,10. If you see some black edge, just apply a motion tile on the bottom mid-token layer and enable mirror edge plus increase outputs. Also here I need to correct the mask. Select all these keys, precomb them and name scene 3. Go to all the comps and enable motion blur and deep glow if you disabled it as I did. Also drag money transition and light transition and place them between scenes and before our b-rolls. Don't forget to change blending mode on light transition to screen. I also have prepared audio plus SFX file in the assets, so you can simply turn off audio on all precomps and just drag and drop my file with sound effects. Let's have a look at our final result. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you found it useful. See you in the next video.